Beneath the unrelenting sun of Egypt's endless desert, there is a silence older than memory itself. The wind moves softly across a sea of sand, shifting dunes as though they are breathing, guarding secrets long forgotten. Among these vast stretches of golden emptiness lie ruins swallowed by time, their stones cracked and worn by centuries. But one ruin holds a whisper that speaks of a book so powerful it could change the fate of humankind. They call it the Book of Thoth. The story begins not with kings or warriors, but with a hidden chamber somewhere deep within the sands, untouched by explorers for thousands of years. An archaeologist, driven more by obsession than reason, stands before its entrance. His breath quickens. The air here is cooler, heavier, almost sacred. Symbols carved into the stone glow faintly, as though lit by some ancient memory. These hieroglyphs speak of a knowledge forbidden, a wisdom that was never meant to pass beyond the guardians of time. And they speak of Thoth, the god of writing, of magic, and of mysteries too dangerous to speak aloud. For centuries, the Book of Thoth has existed more in myth than reality. Ancient texts speak of it as a compendium of divine knowledge, a guide to the universe written by Thoth himself. It is said to hold the language of creation, the power to command the natural world, and the secret to understanding the threads of fate. But those who sought it paid a price. Madness, death, betrayal, each tale more chilling than the last. Some claim the book could grant the reader mastery over all things, while others insist it was locked away because humanity was not ready. The archaeologist feels the weight of the legends pressing against him, but something deeper drives him forward. Perhaps it is curiosity. Perhaps it is fear. The stone door before him hums faintly under his touch, as if responding to a question he cannot yet speak. He steps inside, the air thick with dust and the scent of antiquity. In the dim light, strange carvings begin to emerge, symbols arranged in patterns that make no sense, yet feel deeply familiar. The language of Thoth, some scholars claim, was not meant for reading in the ordinary sense. It was a code, a vibration of thought itself. And here, hidden beneath the desert, it waits. Outside, the wind grows louder, as if warning him. The archaeologist does not notice. His torch illuminates a vast chamber, walls lined with stone tablets and fragments of scrolls. At the far end, on a pedestal carved from obsidian, rests a single object wrapped in ancient linen. Its surface is cracked, but inscriptions shimmer faintly in the torchlight. This, perhaps, is no ordinary manuscript. This could be the very heart of the Book of Thoth, or a fragment of it. But before his hand can touch the linen, a sudden vibration shakes the chamber. Dust falls from the ceiling. Somewhere deep in the structure, a sound begins, low and resonant, like a voice speaking in a tongue forgotten by time. The archaeologist freezes. Somewhere between legend and reality, between madness and truth, he has crossed a threshold. The desert around him is silent again, but the chamber seems to breathe. The discovery will never be his alone. Whispers will spread. Scholars, secret societies, seekers of truth. And the question will remain, what knowledge lies within the Book of Thoth? A key to power? A warning? Or something far stranger? A glimpse into the mind of the divine? Tonight, the sands will remember, and so will he. The desert does not forgive curiosity. It does not forget. Somewhere in its endless expanse lies the promise and the danger of truth. And in that whisper, the world itself holds its breath. Long before the sands of Egypt held secrets for curious explorers, there was Thoth, the god who wrote reality itself. In the ancient world, he was more than a deity. He was a keeper of wisdom, the divine scribe who carried the language of the gods, the architect of time, and the guardian of mysteries mankind was never meant to touch. His presence is woven into the very fabric of ancient Egyptian civilization, a figure both worshipped and feared, revered as a bridge between heaven and earth. Thoth's name appears in countless inscriptions, often alongside the scales of judgment, the ibis, and the moon. He was said to have written the Book of Thoth himself, an infinite codex containing truths that would make gods tremble and mortals vanish in their own understanding. This book, according to legend, was not simply a record of knowledge. It was knowledge incarnate, a map to the very mechanics of the universe, a guide to bending the threads of reality, and perhaps a key to immortality. The myths surrounding Thoth are strange and unsettling. Some say he was born of the moon, descended to earth to give humans the gift of speech and writing. Others claim he was eternal, a presence before the stars were born, tasked with recording the rise and fall of civilizations. In temples across Egypt, Thoth appears holding a stylus and a palette, as if always writing down the story of creation. But what exactly did he write? That question has haunted scholars for centuries. To understand the importance of Thoth, one must understand the ancient Egyptian worldview. They believed language was not merely a tool for communication. It was a form of creation. Every word, every symbol had power. To name something was to shape it. The Book of Thoth, in this sense, was the ultimate expression of that power, a written language that could alter existence itself. It was not a book to be read lightly. It was a force to be wielded and feared. Yet Thoth's book was more than just a collection of spells. It was said to contain prophecies of the future, maps of hidden realms, and instructions for communion with the divine. It held the knowledge of the stars, the secrets of life and death, and the formulas to unlock the deepest mysteries of the soul. In Egyptian tradition, the book was both a blessing and a curse, a gift of divine enlightenment and a dangerous temptation that could destroy those unworthy of its wisdom. Legends claim the gods themselves feared the knowledge contained within the Book of Thoth. To grant it to humanity was to risk upsetting the balance of creation. Some myths speak of Thoth hiding the book to protect mankind, while others suggest it was stolen, lost, or deliberately concealed in a tomb no mortal could ever find. The truth is unknown, yet fragments of the myth survive, scattered across the ruins of temples and the whispers of time. For thousands of years, Thoth's image endured. Inscriptions in the Temple of Karnak, carvings in the Temple of Dendera, and references in the coffin texts all speak of a divine wisdom beyond mortal comprehension. But the book itself vanished from history. It became an enigma wrapped in a riddle, the most sought-after treasure of antiquity. Its disappearance gave rise to legends of a curse, a warning that those who found it would suffer madness, ruin, or death. And yet, countless seekers throughout history have tried to reclaim it. The idea of a god writing reality raises profound questions. Was the Book of Thoth simply a myth, or could it have been a lost technology disguised as magic? Was it an ancient library of knowledge, or a metaphysical codex that defied understanding? For centuries, philosophers, mystics, and scholars have debated the meaning of Thoth's gift. Some believe it was symbolic, a metaphor for the human pursuit of knowledge. Others insist it was literal, that Thoth left behind a code to unlock universal truths hidden somewhere in Egypt's ruins. Even today, Thoth's legacy persists. Modern Egyptologists uncover fragments of his influence in strange inscriptions, unexplained carvings, and ancient texts written in a language still undeciphered. Mystics speak of him as the god of hidden wisdom, a teacher of the soul who offers answers only to those willing to confront the danger of knowing too much. In this sense, the Book of Thoth is not just an object of legend. It is an eternal question. It asks, what price would humanity pay for ultimate knowledge? Perhaps the book was never meant to be found. Perhaps its disappearance was part of its purpose, a test for those who dare to seek it. Thoth, in this view, was not just a writer, but a guardian. The book was a mirror, reflecting not just the universe, but the hearts of those who searched for it. And in that reflection lay the most dangerous truth. Knowledge can transform, but it can also destroy. The God who wrote reality remains one of history's greatest enigmas. Thoth is not simply a figure of myth. He is a symbol of the human desire to know the unknowable. His story, and the story of the book he guarded, continues to echo across centuries, whispering through the sands of time. And somewhere, in the ruins of forgotten temples, in fragments of faded papyrus, and in the dreams of those who dare to look beyond the veil, that whisper still waits. For the truth is not whether the Book of Thoth exists or not. The truth is the question itself, the question that has driven humanity for millennia. What if there was a language so powerful it could rewrite reality? What if there was a God who dared to give it to us? And what if, somewhere beneath the sands, the answer still slumbers? Legends speak of the Book of Thoth as a forbidden codex, not merely a collection of writings, but a living archive of divine power. The words it contained were said to be more than language. They were keys, each phrase a gate to a new reality. To read the book was not simply to learn. It was to step across a threshold into realms where gods, time, and fate intertwined. But such power carried a price, and for this reason, the book became the greatest of all mysteries, a treasure locked away, its location erased from memory. Descriptions of the Book of Thoth appear in fragments scattered across the ages. Ancient Egyptian lore claims it was inscribed upon indestructible leaves of gold and bound in the skin of celestial beings. It was said to contain secrets that could reveal the workings of the cosmos, the language of creation, and the formula to command life itself. Some spoke of it as a guide to immortality, a manual for the soul's journey beyond death. Others whispered darker things. The book contained forbidden knowledge that could undo the fabric of existence. The nature of this knowledge made the book both desired and feared. If such a tome existed, it would not be simply a historical artifact. It would be the ultimate source of power. Scholars who have studied ancient texts suggest that the book's contents were not merely mystical speculation, but a form of advanced science disguised as magic. Symbols described in Egyptian inscriptions, they argue, hint at complex systems of mathematics, astronomy, and metaphysics. If true, the Book of Thoth might have been far more than myth, a lost technology beyond human understanding. But no copy of the book has ever been found. Every reference to it comes in the form of fragments, tales whispered across centuries, hidden in the writings of priests, pharaohs, and mystics. The story changes with each telling. Some claim it was hidden deep within the Great Pyramid. Others believe it was buried in the lost library of Alexandria. Some insist it vanished into another realm entirely, removed from human reach. And then there are those who suggest the book never physically existed, that it was a concept, a symbol of divine truth rather than an object to be possessed. This uncertainty only deepened its allure. For thousands of years, seekers have searched for the Book of Thoth, drawn by the promise of knowledge beyond measure. In medieval Europe, alchemists and scholars claimed to follow trails that might lead to the codex. Secret societies whispered of fragments preserved in hidden vaults. Explorers risked their lives in remote deserts, convinced that the book lay buried beneath sands no human had crossed for millennia. Each attempt to find it added another layer to the mystery, and another reason to believe the book was protected by forces beyond comprehension. The allure of forbidden knowledge is an ancient human temptation. The story of the Book of Thoth is not just the story of a lost manuscript. It is the story of human curiosity itself. The idea of a single source that could answer every question, that could give clarity to the chaos of existence, is a dream that has haunted scholars, priests, and adventurers alike. And with that dream comes danger. For the book was said to test those who sought it, revealing truths they might not be prepared to bear. One of the most chilling aspects of the Book of Thoth is the claim that it carried a warning. Ancient Egyptian legends speak of the curse of knowing, a fate that would befall anyone who read it without purity of purpose. The price could be madness, ruin, or death. The gods themselves, it was said, feared what humanity might do with such knowledge. To open the book was to see behind the veil of reality, and some truths, they claimed, were too dangerous to reveal. This made the book not merely a prize, but a burden, the ultimate test of worthiness. The nature of this warning raises a question: why would knowledge be dangerous? The answer lies in the idea that information shapes reality. If the Book of Thoth contained the language of creation, then its words would not simply describe the world. They would alter it. To possess the book would be to hold the power to reshape existence itself. Such a power could not be left in mortal hands without consequence. The mystery of the book is as much about what it contained as about why it was hidden. For the seekers who chase its legend, the book is more than an artifact. It is a promise of revelation and transformation. Some approach it with reverence, as a sacred scripture. Others see it as a weapon, a tool for mastery over life and death. And then there are those who believe the book is a mirror, reflecting not knowledge itself, but the nature of those who seek it. The search for the Book of Thoth becomes a journey into the deepest desires of the human soul. Throughout history, the book has inspired dreams and obsessions. It has appeared in the writings of priests, philosophers, and mystics, each telling adding layers of mystery. Some speak of it in tones of devotion, others with fear. But all agree on one thing: the Book of Thoth was more than a book. It was a key to the ultimate truth hidden somewhere beyond the reach of mortal man. And the question that remains is whether such a truth should ever be found. For now, the Book of Thoth remains in shadow. It exists in legend, in whispers passed down through centuries, in symbols carved into stone. Its absence is as powerful as its promise. The mystery endures because the book itself is incomplete, not in form, but in presence. Its fragments survive only as clues, guiding seekers towards something they may never touch. And yet, the allure remains irresistible. Somewhere in the past, in a time before history was written, the Book of Thoth existed. And somewhere in the present, that knowledge still calls to those who dare to listen. The Forbidden Codex is more than an ancient tale. It is the echo of a question: what is the cost of knowing? For the Book of Thoth is not just a story of what was lost. It is a story of what could be found. And in that possibility lies both wonder and peril. Beneath the shifting sands of Egypt lies more than just ruins. There lies a labyrinth of shadow archives, hidden chambers, and forgotten libraries that once held the sum of human and divine knowledge. These are places where memory itself was stored, where the language of creation might have been inscribed, and where fragments of the Book of Thoth, if it ever truly existed, could still be concealed, waiting for a seeker worthy enough to uncover them. From the temples of Karnak to the tombs of Saqqara, Egypt was a civilization built upon secrecy. Every stone, every symbol carried meaning beyond what the eye could see. Temples were not merely places of worship, but repositories of cosmic truth. Their walls were covered in carvings that spoke of worlds unseen, of forces beyond mortal comprehension. For the priests of ancient Egypt, the preservation of knowledge was a sacred duty. They believed some truths must be hidden to protect humanity from itself. The idea of a shadow archive is not mere speculation. Archaeology reveals signs of vast hidden chambers beneath ancient sites, rooms filled with scrolls, carvings, and artifacts that remain unseen to the modern world. Some of these hidden chambers were sealed for eternity, locked away by generations of priests who feared what lay within. The possibility that fragments of the Book of Thoth might rest in such a place has long driven explorers, scholars, and mystics into the desert, into labyrinths no map can reveal. One of the most tantalizing pieces of evidence lies in the Temple of Dendera. Here, among intricate carvings and celestial depictions, there are symbols that defy explanation. Scholars debate their meaning. Some argue they are purely symbolic. Others insist they encode advanced knowledge, perhaps a fragment of the lost language of Thoth. Whatever the truth, the carvings stand as a silent invitation, urging the curious to decode their message. These shadow archives were not random repositories. They were deliberately constructed as sanctuaries of forbidden knowledge. To gain access to them required not only physical passage, but spiritual preparation. Priests underwent years of training, learning to decipher cryptic symbols, to understand the harmony of mathematics, astronomy, and divine language. This was not a matter of scholarship alone. It was a sacred rite. Those who entered these chambers were not just seekers of knowledge. They were initiates of mystery. But the search for these hidden sanctuaries is a perilous endeavor. History is filled with tales of explorers who vanished without trace. Entire expeditions swallowed by the desert, their journals and records disappearing as completely as the ruins they sought. It is as though the desert itself resists revelation, guarding its secrets with storms, shifting sands, and silence. For those who believe in the Book of Thoth, these dangers are part of the test, a reminder that some knowledge is hidden for a reason. The idea of secret archives is not unique to Egypt. Many ancient civilizations speak of hidden libraries and forbidden chambers. The Library of Alexandria, for example, was said to hold all human knowledge before its destruction. Some legends suggest that before its fall, fragments of the Book of Thoth were smuggled away and hidden. Could some of these fragments have been brought back to Egypt, buried again in secret sanctuaries? The possibility tantalizes both scholars and dreamers alike. In modern times, archaeologists have uncovered traces of these hidden chambers through both technology and intuition. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed anomalies beneath great monuments, voids where no ordinary room should exist. Some are chambers of ritual, others appear to be tombs. Yet a handful defy classification entirely, their purpose hidden behind walls of stone older than recorded history. Among these, the possibility of finding a part of the Book of Thoth looms large, as both myth and tantalizing possibility. There is a particular urgency to the search now. As technology advances, so does the ability to penetrate these shadow archives without destruction. But there's also a race against time. The desert erodes its secrets. Sand covers ruins faster than they can be uncovered. And political instability in certain regions of Egypt has made access to some sites perilous. For the seekers of Thoth's knowledge, every day is a race, a contest against nature, history, and human fate. The shadow archives are not merely physical places. They are symbols of what lies hidden in the human mind. Just as the ancients built sanctuaries to preserve knowledge, every human heart holds a hidden chamber of memory and dream. The Book of Thoth, in this sense, is not only buried in stone, it is buried in the human soul. To seek it is to seek not only a lost manuscript, but an inner truth. This is why the search is as much spiritual as it is archaeological. The explorers drawn to these ruins are not just chasing relics. They are following a thread of ancient memory, hoping to touch something eternal. In their eyes, the Book of Thoth is not just a treasure, it is a doorway. And the shadow archives are the threshold. But the deeper one goes into the archives of history, the more the line between truth and myth blurs. Every discovery carries its own shadow. Every fragment suggests a larger mystery. The Book of Thoth becomes less a single object and more a living legend, a story that evolves as it is told, a riddle that shifts with every generation. Perhaps that was always Thoth's intention. Perhaps the book was not meant to be found in full, but to exist as a quest, to keep humanity searching, to challenge each seeker to confront the limits of knowledge. The shadow archives, in this sense, are not just guardians of the past. They are mirrors of the future. They remind us that some truths are not given. They must be earned. And so the desert keeps its secret, holding within it the possibility of revelation and the certainty of silence. Somewhere beneath its shifting sands lies a chamber, untouched by time, containing whispers older than civilization itself. And within those whispers, perhaps, rests the heart of the Book of Thoth. The question remains, will it ever be found? Or is it destined to remain a shadow archive, a mystery buried in sand, waiting for the one who can answer its call? In the world of lost knowledge, few stories are as chilling as the curse of the scribe. It is said that those who sought the Book of Thoth did not simply risk failure. They risked their minds, their bodies, and their very souls. The tales of explorers driven to madness, scribes struck blind, and entire dynasties undone form a shadowed history almost as old as the legend of the book itself. This is the darker side of the pursuit, knowledge that comes at the cost of sanity. The earliest whispers of the curse come from the temples of ancient Egypt, carved in cryptic warnings alongside the stories of Thoth himself. He who dares open the knowledge shall see the world unmade, one fragment reads. Another warns that the language of creation is not a gift, but a trial. To wield it is to alter the fabric of reality, and to pay a price that cannot be measured. For the ancients, these warnings were more than superstition. They were sacred law. The pursuit of such knowledge demanded discipline, purity of intention, and a readiness to bear consequences beyond comprehension. History records cases that echo these warnings. There are the tales of scholars in Alexandria who vanished after claiming to have deciphered portions of the book's language. There are accounts of tomb robbers in the Valley of the Kings who found fragments of strange texts and fell into madness, their minds unraveling before they could speak a word of what they had read. And there are the stories passed down through generations of priests, of entire orders sworn to secrecy, destroyed by their guardianship of fragments that were never meant to be revealed. Some of these tales were dismissed as legend, others as cautionary parables. Yet the pattern is unsettling. Across centuries, in cultures separated by time and geography, there are repeated accounts of those who sought forbidden knowledge and were undone by it. The curse of the scribe became more than a warning. It became a kind of inevitability. Whoever touched the Book of Thoth risked a fate worse than death, the unraveling of the mind. This fear is perhaps why the book was lost, not through accident, but through deliberate concealment. If the language of creation could indeed alter reality, those who understood it may have chosen to hide it to protect humanity. Some legends speak of a secret council of scribes, sworn to guard the knowledge of Thoth and to bury it beyond reach. Others claim that the knowledge was fragmented, scattered across temples and tombs, so no one person could ever hold it in its entirety. The curse, in this view, was not just protection. It was a safeguard against power itself. The curse also has a psychological dimension. To seek the Book of Thoth is to confront the limits of human understanding. It is to stand before a truth so vast that it cannot be contained in words. For some, this confrontation became madness. For others, it was an awakening too great to bear. This is why many who claim to have found fragments speak not of treasure, but of terror. They speak of visions that dissolve reality, of knowledge that burns the mind. The curse is not a supernatural punishment. It is the human mind's reaction to a truth too profound to endure. Yet the lure of the book persists despite the danger. It is part of human nature to seek what is forbidden. The stories of the curse of the scribe only deepen the mystery, adding to the book's allure. For centuries, adventurers have risked everything to find it. Their quests are filled with obsession, betrayal, and sacrifice. Some died in deserts and tombs. Others disappeared without trace. Those who returned often spoke in fragmented whispers, their sanity frayed. In some ways, the curse of the scribe reflects a truth about knowledge itself. Every great discovery carries risk. To uncover something hidden is to change the world and to change oneself. The difference with the Book of Thoth is the scale of that change. Its knowledge, according to legend, is not merely information. It is transformation. And transformation is the most dangerous thing of all. There are also those who see the curse as part of the book's purpose. In this view, the warnings are not a deterrent, but a test. Thoth, the divine scribe, embedded the curse to ensure that only those ready for its knowledge would find it. To read the book without readiness is to invite destruction. The curse is the threshold, a measure of worthiness. It is not simply a barrier, but a filter. The danger, the obsession, the madness, these form a pattern repeated through history. The seekers of the Book of Thoth have not been mere explorers. They have been pilgrims, driven by something deeper than curiosity. They have been seekers of truth, willing to pay the ultimate price. And for each who dared, the curse became a shadow that followed them to their last breath. This is why the story of the Book of Thoth is as much a human story as it is a myth. It is a story about desire and fear, about knowledge and sacrifice. The curse is not just a warning carved in stone. It is a mirror. It reflects humanity's deepest yearning, the longing to know what lies beyond. And in that reflection lies the real danger. Because to find the Book of Thoth is not to gain knowledge alone. It is to cross a line from which there is no return. The curse of the scribe is not a legend of the past. It is a question for the future. If the knowledge of creation were in our hands, would we be able to bear it? Or would we, like those before us, be undone? In the end, the curse of the scribe is not just a caution. It is a challenge. It dares us to ask, were we willing to risk for truth? And what price are we prepared to pay for the knowledge humanity was never meant to read? The trail of the Book of Thoth is a path paved with fragments of whispers, scattered clues, and the footprints of centuries of seekers. To follow it is to step into the corridors of history itself, from the grandeur of ancient Egypt to the forgotten sanctuaries of the medieval world, through libraries lost to fire and time. Every step tells a story, and every story leads deeper into the heart of a mystery that refuses to die. The first threads of the trail emerge in the reigns of the pharaohs. Egyptian records speak of scribes and priests who guarded sacred knowledge in hidden chambers, entrusted to keepers sworn to silence. References to Thoth and his book appear repeatedly, always in fragments. These hints suggest a network of guardians, a lineage of secrecy that stretched across dynasties. For these keepers, the book was not a possession. It was a charge, an eternal duty to protect a truth too dangerous for mortal hands. When Egypt fell to foreign powers, the trail did not end. It shifted. Conquerors who claimed its lands found not just gold and treasure, but scrolls, codices, and knowledge bound in secrecy. Some of these texts were carried away to libraries in Greece, Rome, and Arabia. The Book of Thoth became not only a myth, but a shadow in the great web of human history, its essence lingering in the traditions of philosophers, mystics, and scholars. By the time of the Library of Alexandria, the pursuit of forbidden knowledge had become a silent war of minds. Alexandria was the heart of the ancient world's knowledge, a place where the greatest minds gathered to preserve and expand humanity's understanding. It is said that fragments of the Book of Thoth found their way here, hidden among scrolls of astronomy, mathematics, and metaphysics. The library became both sanctuary and battlefield, a place where seekers and protectors wrestled with the power of knowledge itself. When a library fell to fire, whether by accident, political decree, or deliberate destruction, the Book of Thoth vanished from the world. Some believe it was destroyed. Others whispered that it had been hidden before the flames, secreted away by those who knew its true power. This belief gave birth to centuries of speculation, and with it, the trail of the lost book spread across continents. During the medieval era, references to the Book of Thoth surface in unexpected places. Alchemists, Kabbalists, and mystics of Europe and the Middle East claimed to possess fragments of its wisdom. Some spoke of it in coded manuscripts, others in allegorical treatises cloaked in symbolism. These were not idle claims. In an age where knowledge was dangerous, to speak openly of the book was to risk persecution. Yet the stories persisted, passed in whispers from one seeker to another. Secret orders became part of the trail. The Rosicrucians, the Hermeticists, even some branches of Freemasonry, all are said to have carried knowledge traced back to Thoth's book. For them, it was not merely a relic of Egypt, but a living tradition, a source of mystical insight guiding their practices. These connections extended the book's influence far beyond its origins, embedding it into the hidden history of Western esotericism. But the trail was never straightforward. It is marked by riddles, contradictions, and deliberate erasures. Many scholars suggest this was part of the book's design, that the Book of Thoth was meant to be a labyrinth of knowledge, hidden not just physically, but conceptually. To find it required more than geography. It demanded understanding the nature of secrecy itself. Each fragment, each reference was a piece of a puzzle that could only be solved by those who could think in the language of Thoth. This pursuit has led modern explorers across deserts and continents. Archaeologists follow ancient maps and texts, guided by the faintest traces of clues. Mystics meditate on cryptic symbols, hoping to unlock the patterns hidden within. And scholars dig into forgotten libraries, searching for lost manuscripts that might point to the book's fate. Each path is a thread in the tapestry of the search, weaving together history, myth, and mystery. One of the most striking aspects of the trail is its endurance. Over thousands of years, across empires and civilizations, the legend of the Book of Thoth has survived. It has outlived conquerors, fires, and the erosion of memory itself. This endurance suggests something extraordinary, that the book's power lies not only in what it contains, but in the very act of seeking it. The book is more than an object. It is a force, a call that transcends time. The trail also reveals the human dimension of the search. It is not just a story of scholars and tomb raiders, but of obsession and sacrifice. Those who have followed the trail speak of nights in burning deserts, of journeys through forgotten ruins, of encounters that defy explanation. For them, the search is a pilgrimage, a quest for a truth that may forever remain just out of reach. And perhaps that is part of the Book of Thoth's design. The pursuit itself may be its purpose. To follow the trail is to become part of the mystery, to test the limits of curiosity and courage. The journey becomes the proof of worthiness. To seek the book is to stand at the edge of understanding, to confront the question, what would we do if we truly found it? The trail of the Book of Thoth winds through history like a river of shadows. It carries the echoes of ancient scribes, lost libraries, and hidden sanctuaries. It leads through the ruins of Egypt, across the corridors of forgotten knowledge, into the heart of human longing. And though the destination remains unknown, the trail itself is a story worth following, a story that challenges us to ask not only where the book is, but why we seek it at all. Because in the end, the pursuit of the Book of Thoth is not merely a quest for knowledge. It is a quest for meaning. And that is a journey as ancient as humanity itself. The deeper one follows the trail of the Book of Thoth, the more it becomes clear that this is not merely a pursuit of an object, but a journey into the hidden architecture of reality itself. The book is said to be a codex of infinite depth, not bound by physical form alone, but encoded into the very structure of existence. To seek it is to seek a language older than writing, a language woven into the stars, the earth, and the human mind. Ancient Egyptian priests called this language the word of creation. They believed it was given to Thoth by the gods, a divine script capable of shaping reality. The Book of Thoth, they said, was the compendium of this language, a map of the universe written in symbols of cosmic power. Those who could read it would possess not just knowledge, but the ability to alter the fabric of life itself. It was knowledge beyond science, beyond philosophy, beyond mortal comprehension. But what exactly was in this book? The surviving fragments of myth suggest that the book contained truths so profound they could not be conveyed directly. Some fragments speak of it as a compendium of spells, formulas that could heal or destroy, open doors between worlds, and transform the soul. Others claim it contained prophecies of the future, hidden within the patterns of the stars. Still others insist it contained the knowledge of life and death itself, a manual for immortality. This idea of a living language resonates deeply with the human search for meaning. Across cultures, there are echoes of the same concept, that there is a primal language, a hidden code underlying reality. The Sanskrit of the Vedas, the Kabbalah of Jewish mysticism, the Hermetic texts of the West, all speak of this hidden tongue. The Book of Thoth, in this context, becomes not just an Egyptian relic, but part of a universal tradition, the apex of a truth that has appeared again and again in human history. The pursuit of this knowledge is as much a spiritual quest as it is an archaeological one. To follow the trail of Thoth's book is to step into the realm of the sacred. For the ancients, knowledge was not neutral. It carried responsibility. To read the Book of Thoth was to undertake a covenant, a pact with the divine. This is why its guardians built sanctuaries and erected curses. They knew that such knowledge, once unleashed, could reshape the world in ways both miraculous and terrifying. Over centuries, this idea became the heart of a mystery tradition that spans continents. Hermetic scholars in Alexandria, Gnostic mystics in early Christianity, alchemists in medieval Europe, and secret orders of the Renaissance all spoke of a hidden language of creation. For each of them, the Book of Thoth was not merely a physical book. It was the ultimate key to understanding. And for many, it became the ultimate prize. The symbolism of the book goes beyond its supposed contents. It represents the human desire to bridge the gap between the known and the unknown, to grasp the infinite through the finite. To hold the book would mean to stand at the threshold of absolute understanding. And yet, that threshold is dangerous. Many who have pursued it have been undone by what they glimpsed. The book's fragments speak not just of revelation, but of trial, a test of whether humanity is ready for such knowledge. The search for the language of creation has also brought seekers into confrontation with the limits of human perception. Some scholars argue that the Book of Thoth was never meant to be read in the conventional sense. Instead, they suggest it was designed to be experienced. Its language was not words alone, but symbols, vibrations, and harmonies that could alter consciousness. To read the book would be to read the world itself. This notion transforms the pursuit of the book into something more profound than archaeology. It becomes a search for a form of awareness. Those who have claimed to encounter fragments of the book describe experiences that defy rational explanation, visions of other worlds, sudden awakenings of memory, encounters with truths that could not be articulated. Such experiences suggest that the Book of Thoth was not merely a text, but a gateway. And this is where the mystery deepens. If the book was a gateway, what lay beyond it? Was it knowledge? Power? A higher state of being? Or was it something more ineffable, a confrontation with the limits of human existence? For those who follow the trail, this is the ultimate question. The book is not merely an artifact. It is a threshold. To find it is to stand at the edge of something that changes everything. The idea of a language of creation is not simply a relic of ancient belief. Modern science, too, hints at the possibility of such a language. Quantum physics speaks of information as the foundation of reality. Mathematics has revealed patterns in nature that seem almost too perfect to be coincidence. Some theorists suggest that the universe itself is written in code. If so, then the Book of Thoth was not myth at all, but the key to that code. This convergence of ancient myth and modern science gives the search for the book a haunting relevance. It suggests that what was once considered magic may have been a language of truth, encoded in symbols, accessible to those who can understand it. And it suggests that Thoth's legacy is not buried in the past, but alive in the questions we ask today. The pursuit of the Book of Thoth, then, is not just about finding a lost manuscript. It is about seeking the language of reality itself. It is about asking, what if knowledge is not something to be possessed, but something to be awakened within us? What if the Book of Thoth was never a book in the conventional sense, but a living question written into the fabric of the universe? To follow this question is to follow a trail older than writing, older than history. It is to walk the path of seekers who have stood before the same mystery for thousands of years. And for those who continue the search, the Book of Thoth remains both destination and journey, the ultimate puzzle waiting to be unlocked. The search for the Book of Thoth is not a single journey, but a labyrinth of journeys, each seeker taking a different path, driven by their own desire for truth, power, or transcendence. Across the centuries, countless explorers, mystics and scholars have followed fragments of the trail. Some came seeking knowledge, others seeking immortality. All found themselves drawn into something greater, the mystery of why the book remains lost. One of the most fascinating aspects of the quest lies in the diversity of those who have pursued it. There is the archaeologist, armed with maps and instruments, scanning ruins for signs of hidden chambers. There is the mystic, meditating for years to unlock visions of the book in dreams. There is the philosopher, poring over ancient texts, decoding symbols that might hide its location. And there is the adventurer, driven by obsession, willing to risk fortune and life to uncover the ultimate prize. Their stories are scattered across history like constellations, each a point of light in the dark expanse of the book's legend. The Egyptians themselves left hints in temples and tombs, not just of the book, but of the seekers it would inspire. Later, the Hermetic tradition preserved fragments of its wisdom, veiled in allegory. Medieval alchemists claimed to possess keys to the language of creation, linking themselves to Thoth's knowledge. And in the modern age, explorers and scholars continue the pursuit, driven by both science and the enduring power of myth. But what unites these seekers is something deeper than ambition. It is an inner call, a feeling that the Book of Thoth is not merely an object of knowledge, but a doorway to transformation. For many, the pursuit becomes a journey of the soul, a confrontation with the deepest mysteries of existence. They speak of moments when the search transcends physical terrain, becoming an inward exploration of consciousness itself. This inward journey is reflected in the traditions surrounding the book. Egyptian mysticism viewed knowledge as a path of initiation, a process of becoming rather than merely learning. To find the Book of Thoth was to pass a trial of the mind, heart, and spirit. This is why so many accounts of seekers speak of profound change, even before the book is found. The search transforms the seeker, whether or not the destination is reached. For some, this transformation becomes an obsession. The quest for the Book of Thoth is not just a search for answers, but an answer in itself. The journey becomes a test of will, an exercise in endurance. Many who have pursued it speak of an inner compulsion, an unshakable feeling that the book is calling to them. This compulsion is what drives seekers into deserts, into ruins, into solitude, risking everything for a glimpse of what they cannot name. And yet, the pursuit is filled with paradox. The more seekers search, the more elusive the book becomes. Every clue seems to open more questions than answers. Every fragment found leads to another mystery. This is not the sign of a straightforward hunt, but of a deeper design. Some believe this is no accident. The Book of Thoth, they say, is meant to be hidden, not by chance but by choice. It exists as a test, a living riddle woven into the fabric of history. The idea of a test resonates in many traditions. In Egyptian mythology, Thoth himself was not merely a keeper of knowledge, but a judge of worthiness. To approach his book required preparation, purity, and understanding. The seeker was tested not only by the riddles of the book, but by the journey itself. The desert, the ruins, the trials, they were part of the path. This suggests that the search for the Book of Thoth is not a physical expedition alone, but a rite of passage. The seeker becomes part of the story. Each expedition, each discovery, each failure is woven into the living legend of the book. This is why the trail is not a linear map, but a labyrinth. It is not meant to be solved in a single lifetime. Instead, it is a mystery passed from one generation to the next, a flame kept alive by those willing to follow the call. But the labyrinth of the search is not without danger. For those who pursue the book, the path is lined with shadows. There are rival seekers driven by greed. There are guardians who guard secrets with violence. And there are forces both seen and unseen that seem determined to keep the book hidden. These dangers add another layer to the legend, a reminder that knowledge of this magnitude is never given freely. Some say that the book is hidden not just in tombs and temples, but in plain sight, that it exists in a form we cannot yet recognize, encoded in symbols, patterns, and rituals scattered across human history. To find it would require not only searching the world, but decoding the language of the world itself. And this is the challenge that binds all seekers together. To find the book is to find the key to understanding existence. The search of the Book of Thoth is therefore both an outer and an inner quest. It is the exploration of ruins and deserts, and the exploration of the human heart and mind. It is a journey that challenges the seeker to ask not only where the book is, but why they seek it at all. This question becomes as important as the search itself. For the seekers who stand on this path, the book is more than a relic. It is a promise of revelation, of transformation, of a truth that lies beyond the veil of ordinary life. And whether or not it is ever found, the search itself carries its own meaning, because the Book of Thoth is not merely lost in time. It is lost within us, within our history, our consciousness, and our willingness to seek. To follow its trail is to follow a thread that leads into the very heart of mystery. And in that pursuit lies the greatest secret of all, that the journey to find the Book of Thoth may be the book itself. The search for the Book of Thoth is not only a journey through ruins and manuscripts, but a journey through time itself. To follow the trail is to step into a story written across centuries, a story of seekers, of lost civilizations, of guardians and thieves, of truths so dangerous they could vanish beneath the weight of their own mystery. The trail does not belong to one age, but to all time. The ancient world itself holds hints that the book was more than an artifact. For the Egyptians, the Book of Thoth was part of a living tradition, not a single codex, but a body of knowledge passed through generations. This knowledge was embedded in rituals, symbols, and architecture. Temples were built not only to honor gods, but to encode cosmic wisdom. The book, in this sense, was not an object to be held, but a tradition to be lived. This makes the search as much an exploration of culture as a location. To understand the Book of Thoth is to understand the world it came from. Every carving in Karnak, every alignment of a pyramid, every papyrus fragment found in tombs is a piece of the puzzle. The quest becomes a kind of archaeology of meaning, digging not only through layers of sand, but through layers of human thought. The trail also winds through the great libraries of history: Alexandria, Pergamon, Constantinople. These were places where knowledge was gathered, preserved, and sometimes destroyed. The burning of the Library of Alexandria stands as one of history's greatest tragedies. Among the scrolls lost in those flames may have been fragments of the Book of Thoth itself. For centuries after, scholars whispered of secret texts rescued before the destruction, texts that vanished into secrecy. In the medieval world, the trail took on new forms. Mystics and alchemists of Europe and the Islamic world sought the book in the language of their own traditions. They did not call it the Book of Thoth, but their writings speak of a hidden wisdom, a language of symbols and correspondences that could unlock the universe. For them, the book was a key to the divine, a guide to transformation. Their texts became coded maps, passed quietly among initiates. These hidden paths persisted through the Renaissance. Secret societies, scholars, and explorers, often working in the shadow of politics and persecution, continued the search. They spoke of lost books, of ancient keys, of wisdom that had been hidden to protect humanity. The idea that the Book of Thoth might survive in fragments, disguised in allegory, became a central theme of esoteric tradition. It was a story of both hope and warning, that knowledge without readiness could be destructive. The trail also enters the modern age, where technology offers new possibilities and new mysteries. Ground-penetrating radar, satellite imagery, and digital reconstruction have uncovered ruins once thought lost. Yet the book remains elusive. Every discovery adds more questions. Every fragment uncovered deepens the mystery. The search continues, not only in the deserts of Egypt, but in archives, laboratories, and mines across the world. What drives this persistence? Why does the legend endure? It is partly because the Book of Thoth is not simply a lost text. It is a symbol of the ultimate pursuit of humanity, the quest for truth. The search for the book becomes a search for meaning itself, a reflection of the human condition. This is why, across time, the trail has called the scholars mystics and dreamers alike. But the trail is not without danger. History shows that those who follow it often face trials. Some vanish without trace. Others are consumed by obsession. The Book of Thoth becomes more than a quest. It becomes a test. Those who seek it must face not only the perils of the world, but the perils within themselves. The path demands courage, discipline, and sacrifice. It is a trial of the seeker as much as of the book. There is also something unsettling about the endurance of the legend. Across centuries, cultures, and continents, the story of the Book of Thoth has survived, often in altered form, yet always with the same core, the idea of hidden knowledge and the price of seeking it. This endurance suggests that the book's mystery is not only preserved in stone and manuscript, but in human memory itself. It has become part of the collective unconscious, a story humanity carries within itself. The trail, then, is not only about location. It is about the transmission of a story. It is about the continuity of a question, what lies beyond knowledge. Every seeker who takes the path adds their own chapter to that question. The trail becomes a living story, evolving with each generation that dares to follow it. To follow the trail of the Book of Thoth is to walk between history and myth. It is to step into a story without end, where every discovery leads to another mystery, and every question opens into another question. The trail is both a path and a mirror, reflecting our deepest yearning to understand the world and ourselves. Perhaps that is why the book remains lost. Perhaps it was never meant to be found in full. Perhaps its purpose is to be sought. The trail itself becomes the proof of the book's power, an eternal quest that binds seekers across time. To follow it is to become part of something far greater than oneself. And so the trail continues, winding through centuries, deserts, libraries, and dreams. It is a journey that is still unfolding. Somewhere in that journey lies the heart of the Book of Thoth, a heart that beats into pursuit, not in possession. The question that remains is not only where the book is, but whether we are ready to follow its trail to the end. The deeper we travel into the mystery of the Book of Thoth, the clearer it becomes that this is not merely a story of a lost text. It is a story about humanity itself, a reflection of our greatest ambitions, our deepest fears, and the cost of curiosity. The search for the book is more than archaeology. It is an odyssey into the very nature of knowledge and power. One of the most fascinating aspects of this journey lies in the way the Book of Thoth has embedded itself into the human imagination. Across centuries, it has been whispered in temples, encoded in symbols, and hidden in allegories. It has inspired scholars and dreamers alike. For some, it became the pinnacle of their quest for wisdom. For others, a dangerous temptation. And for all, it became a story that endures. The search for the book is not a single path, but many paths woven together by myth and history. Ancient Egypt was the birthplace of a legend, and the Book of Thoth was said to have been written by the god of wisdom himself. But the story does not end there. The book's trail winds through the corridors of Greek philosophy, through the secret orders of the Middle Ages, through the hidden libraries of Renaissance scholars, and into the minds of modern seekers. Each age reshaped the story, adding layers of meaning and mystery. By the Renaissance, the idea of a hidden book of ultimate knowledge had transformed into something more symbolic. For alchemists and mystics, the Book of Thoth became a metaphor for the search for the philosopher's stone, a representation of transformation, enlightenment, and the ultimate union of spirit and matter. The language of the book was no longer only an ancient script, but a code of symbols pointing to a deeper reality. These ideas persisted into the modern era. Scholars began to study the surviving fragments of Egyptian wisdom, interpreting them through the lenses of philosophy, mathematics, and science. The search for the Book of Thoth became not only a quest for a physical object, but a pursuit of the ultimate code, the possibility of understanding the language of the universe itself. This idea resonates with today's scientific explorations, where physicists speak of the mathematical structures underlying reality. But alongside the scholars, there have always been seekers of another kind, those driven by obsession, ambition, or even madness. The story of the book is filled with accounts of individuals who crossed into the unknown, some returning changed, others never returning at all. These stories feed the legend, reinforcing the idea that the pursuit of the Book of Thoth is a trial, a test of worthiness and resolve. The question becomes, what makes the pursuit so compelling? Why has the legend endured for millennia? Perhaps it is because the Book of Thoth speaks to a fundamental human desire, the longing to know what lies beyond. To find the book is to promise the answer to a question humanity has always asked: why are we here? This is why the legend persists, because it carries within it a question larger than itself. The pursuit of the book is not without peril. Ancient accounts speak of curses, trials, and sacrifices. Many who sought it vanished. Others returned with their minds shattered. Some traditions even suggest that the book itself resists being found, hiding its location from all but the worthy. The quest, then, becomes not only a physical journey, but a moral and spiritual trial. To seek the book is to confront not only the world, but one's own nature. There is also the deeper danger of what the book might contain. If the Book of Thoth truly held the language of creation, the knowledge within it would be transformative and dangerous. To possess such knowledge would be to hold power over reality itself. The question, then, is whether humanity is ready for such power. The search for the book is as much a question of readiness as it is of discovery. This is why the legend speaks not only of seekers, but of guardians. For centuries, there are records of secret orders, scribes, and mystics sworn to protect the book's fragments, to keep them hidden until the world was ready. These guardians became part of the story themselves, adding another layer to the mystery. Were they protectors of truth or keepers of fear? The answer remains buried in the sands of time. The story of the Book of Thoth, then, is not a story with a single ending. It is a living mystery, shaped by each generation that dares to follow its trail. The search becomes a mirror of humanity's own journey, a reflection of our desire to understand, to transcend, and to find meaning in the face of the unknown. And perhaps that is the real secret of the book. It is not a destination, but a journey. The search itself is the proof of its existence, the living continuation of Thoth's legacy. Every seeker becomes part of the book's story, adding a chapter to a mystery that has endured for thousands of years. The Book of Thoth may remain lost, but its legend endures, calling to those willing to follow its trail. For in that search lies something greater than knowledge itself, the desire to confront the greatest mystery of all, the nature of reality and our place within it. The question at the heart of the legend remains: if we could find the Book of Thoth, would we be ready to read it? And if we did, how would it change us and the world? In the end, the Book of Thoth is not only a lost manuscript. It is a challenge, a mirror, and a journey. To seek it is to step into a story as old as humanity, and to confront the question that lies at the heart of all human striving. What is the price of ultimate knowledge? The trail of the Book of Thoth grows more tangled as we move deeper into history. It is no longer simply the search for a lost manuscript. It becomes a search for a truth hidden behind layers of myth, secrecy, and time. Every clue uncovered reveals another mystery. Every fragment found carries echoes of centuries of seekers who came before, each adding their own step to the eternal journey. One of the most intriguing elements of the trail lies in the role of secrecy. From ancient Egypt to the hidden orders of the Renaissance, those who sought the book understood one truth: some knowledge is dangerous. The very idea of the Book of Thoth implies a threshold, a boundary between what can be revealed and what must remain hidden. This is why so many of its fragments have been preserved in allegory, encoded in language designed to conceal as much as it reveals. These hidden paths of knowledge became the heart of secret traditions. Hermeticism, alchemy, Kabbalah, and other mystical paths all speak of a hidden book, a source of divine wisdom guarded by those who understood its peril. The Book of Thoth, in this sense, became not only a relic of the past, but a living symbol, a key that must be protected until the world was ready to wield it. Medieval mystics claimed that the book contained instructions for transforming not only the soul, but reality itself. They spoke of symbols that could alter perception, formulas that could heal or destroy, and knowledge that could open doors to other worlds. To them, the Book of Thoth was not an object, but a living force, a current of wisdom woven into the fabric of existence. This is why it was so fiercely guarded, hidden in the language of myth and ritual. The trail of the book winds through the shadowed corridors of history. There are stories of libraries hidden beneath monasteries, of texts buried in deserts, of manuscripts burned to keep the knowledge from falling into the wrong hands. Each of these acts of concealment is part of the book's legacy, part of the reason the trail remains as elusive as ever. To follow it is to walk a path of whispers, following echoes of secrets too dangerous to speak aloud. The search for the book is also a story of transformation. Those who have sought it often speak of the quest itself changing them. The search becomes an initiation, a journey into a deeper state of awareness. In many traditions, the seeker who approaches the Book of Thoth must first undergo trials, tests of character, of will, of perception. These trials are not merely obstacles. They're the purpose of the search. To seek the book is to seek a transformation of the self. This is why the Book of Thoth has never been found in its entirety. Perhaps it was never meant to be. The fragments scattered through history suggest that the book is less a fixed object and more a living question. To find it is not only to find knowledge. It is to confront the limits of human understanding. This is the paradox that keeps the trail alive. The book is both lost and found, hidden and present, a mystery that cannot be fully grasped. The search also reveals something deeply human, the desire to connect with something greater than ourselves. The Book of Thoth, whether real or symbolic, represents the ultimate connection, a bridge to the divine, to the infinite. Every generation that takes up the search adds its own vision to the legend, and in doing so, keeps the mystery alive. This is why the pursuit endures. It is not merely about recovering a book. It is about answering a question older than history itself. The book becomes a mirror for humanity's own aspirations. It reflects our longing to understand, to transcend, to glimpse the unseen. The seekers who follow its trail are not only chasing a physical object, they're chasing the possibility of transformation, the hope that knowledge can lead to a higher state of being. This is the deepest power of the Book of Thoth. It is not just a book, but a promise. But with that promise comes danger. The deeper the pursuit, the more the seeker risks losing themselves. History is full of tales of obsession that consumed those who sought the book. Some lost their sanity. Others sacrificed everything they had in the hope of finding it. The Book of Thoth, if it exists, demands a price, and that price is often unknown until it is paid. And perhaps this is the final test. The book is hidden not just to protect knowledge, but to protect us from ourselves. The pursuit becomes a trial, asking whether humanity is ready for the truth it contains. This is why the Book of Thoth remains lost. The real question is not where it is, but whether we are ready to find it. The trail of the Book of Thoth is a journey without end. It winds through the deserts of Egypt, through the libraries of forgotten civilizations, through the dreams of mystics and scholars. It is a journey that calls to the seeker in each of us, asking us to step into the mystery, to follow the path even if the destination remains unknown. And in that calling lies the heart of the book's power. The Book of Thoth is not simply a manuscript to be found. It is a journey to be undertaken, a question to be lived, and a mystery to be carried forward. To seek it is to take part in a tradition older than history itself, a tradition that asks not only what we can know, but what we are willing to become in the pursuit of truth. The deeper we follow the trail of the Book of Thoth, the more it becomes clear that this quest is as much a story of guardians as it is of seekers. For centuries, a hidden web of protectors has emerged in every age, custodians of fragments, keepers of symbols, keepers of the secret. They understood that the knowledge contained in the book was not merely power, but a responsibility that could alter the course of civilization. The idea of guardianship has roots in the earliest records of the book. Ancient Egyptian lore describes Thoth himself as the divine scribe, not only recording the deeds of the gods, but guarding the balance of cosmic knowledge. This knowledge was never given freely. It was entrusted only to those deemed worthy. The guardians were not passive keepers. They were initiates who understood the burden of knowing and the danger it posed. This guardianship evolved through time, adapting to the shifting currents of history. In the temples of Egypt, priests encrypted knowledge in hieroglyphs, hidden in layers of symbolism. In Alexandria, scholars guarded scrolls in the heart of the great library. In medieval Europe, secret societies passed fragments of wisdom through coded manuscripts. Each guardian carried a part of the book's mystery, preserving it in ways that ensured it would survive, even when empires fell and libraries burned. The guardianship of the Book of Thoth was not simply about protection. It was about initiation. In many traditions, to approach the book was to pass a trial, to prove one's readiness for the truth it contained. This trial was not a test of strength, but of character. It required purity of intent, clarity of mind, and courage of spirit. The book was a prize that demanded more than possession. It demanded transformation. This idea of a trial is woven into the very structure of the book's legend. Many myths speak of a gatekeeper, a force or a being that decides who may proceed. In Egyptian lore, the weighing of the soul was the final test of truth, a moment when the seeker's heart was measured against the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth. To find the Book of Thoth was to face such a trial, to stand in judgment of one's own readiness. Guardians across history have faced the paradox of the book. The more they protected it, the more they added to its mystery. Each layer of protection, whether a hidden chamber, a coded manuscript, or an allegory, became part of the book's living legend. And each time a fragment was passed to a worthy seeker, the legend grew stronger. Guardians became part of the story itself, and the story became a test that continues to this day. The idea of guardianship also raises a deeper question. Who has the right to such knowledge? Throughout history, there have been those who sought to possess the book for power rather than enlightenment. These seekers, blinded by ambition, became a warning in the book's legend. The guardians understood that knowledge without wisdom could be destruction. This is why they guarded not only the location of the book, but the very possibility of finding it. Guardianship is not only a defense against those unprepared for the book's power. It is also a form of preservation. The fragments of the Book of Thoth that survive today are scattered across time and space. They exist as hieroglyphs in forgotten temples, as coded texts in obscure manuscripts, as symbols hidden in architecture. Each fragment is a remnant of a larger whole, a piece of a puzzle that has been guarded for millennia. In some traditions, the guardianship of the book became a sacred duty passed through secret orders. These orders, whether priesthoods, brotherhoods, or mystic societies, saw themselves as stewards of a knowledge that could transform humanity. They worked in secrecy, passing the book's fragments and the trials of its pursuit from one generation to the next. This living tradition became part of the book's power, the power of a mystery that could not be fully possessed, only inherited. The story of the Guardians also reveals something about the nature of the Book of Thoth itself. It suggests that the book is not simply a collection of knowledge, but a living force, a presence that demands protection, trial, and readiness. The book becomes more than a text. It becomes a living threshold, a test embedded in history. To follow its trail is to enter a path guarded by time itself. Perhaps this is why the Book of Thoth remains lost. Its guardians have ensured that it could not be found without passing the trial. And that trial is not a puzzle of location, but a trial of the seeker's soul. The true guardianship is not in walls or codes, but in the readiness of those who seek. The book's loss is therefore not only a mystery of history, it is a mystery of humanity. The trail of the Book of Thoth is a story of seekers and guardians, of tests and trials, of knowledge and sacrifice. It is a story that unfolds not in a single age, but across the span of time. And in that story lies one of its greatest secrets, that the book is not simply lost, but guarded, and that its guardians have always known that the greatest mystery is not where the book lies, but whether we are ready to find it. To follow the trail of the Book of Thoth is to step into a tradition older than writing itself. It is to join a lineage of seekers and guardians, each carrying the question forward. And that question is the heart of the book's power, not what it contains, but what it asks of us. The pursuit itself becomes the legacy. The Book of Thoth is not merely a lost text. It is a living story, carried through time by those who guard it, and those who dare to seek it. And in the balance between seeking and guarding lies the deepest mystery of all, the mystery that lies at the heart of human knowledge and human destiny. The legend of the Book of Thoth is not only the story of a lost manuscript, but the story of the seekers who dared to follow its call. Across centuries, these seekers have been bound by a single truth, that the pursuit itself is as important as the prize. This is why the book has survived in memory, even when its pages have vanished. The trail is carried by those who follow, and their stories become part of the book's legacy. In the tapestry of history, some seekers stand out. They were explorers who risked their lives crossing deserts in search of ruins. They were mystics who spent years in silence, decoding dreams that spoke of the book. They were scholars who risked exile or death to protect or pursue knowledge. Each seeker added a chapter to the living story of the book, and each chapter carried its own revelations and dangers. One of the most haunting aspects of these journeys is the way they blend knowledge and madness. The search for the Book of Thoth is a journey into a mystery so profound that it can unravel the mind. Some seekers returned with astonishing discoveries. Others vanished entirely, becoming part of the legend they pursued. This paradox, that the search can both enlighten and destroy, lies at the heart of the book's power. There's a recurring pattern in the stories of seekers. They speak of a call, a pull that begins not in the mind, but in something deeper. A vision in a dream, a symbol seen in a ruin, a whisper of knowledge heard in silence. This is what drives the seeker beyond reason, a sense that the book is not merely a text, but a presence calling out across time. This call is the reason the search persists. Even in modern times, with the tools of archaeology, linguistics, and digital technology, the search for the Book of Thoth continues. New expeditions, new discoveries, and new theories appear constantly. Yet each answer leads to another question. The trail never ends. It is a labyrinth without a map, a mystery without a final clue. For some seekers, the book is a key, a doorway to understanding the universe itself. For others, it is a test, a measure of worthiness. And for all, it is a mystery that shapes the journey. The seekers of the Book of Thoth do not simply hunt for a relic. They walk a path that tests their courage, their vision, and their willingness to confront the unknown. This pursuit has shaped entire traditions. In Hermeticism, alchemy, and mystical schools, the figure of Thoth is not just a god of wisdom, but a teacher whose book is the path itself. To follow the path of Thoth is to embark on an inner journey, where knowledge is not simply learned, but lived. This is why the seekers of the book often speak of transformation, of a change that comes before the discovery. The transformation is both the reward and the trial. Many seekers come to the edge of the mystery only to find that the book is not an object to be taken, but a state to be attained. The search becomes a form of initiation, a process that changes the seeker more than the sought. This is why the Book of Thoth has never been found in full. Perhaps it was never meant to be. The book becomes a mirror, reflecting the seeker's own journey. The fragments found along the trail are pieces of a larger puzzle, not just of knowledge, but of the seeker's own soul. This is why the book's legend endures. It is not simply a relic lost to time, but a living question handed down through centuries. The seekers are both the story and the proof of its existence. There is also a darker side to the journey. The search for the Book of Thoth can lead to obsession. History is filled with seekers who lost themselves in pursuit, who sacrificed health, wealth, relationships, and even sanity for a glimpse of the truth. This danger has become part of the book's legend. To follow the trail is to risk losing oneself, and yet many have chosen the risk willingly. Perhaps this is the true power of the Book of Thoth, the way it transforms the seeker. The book does not reveal itself easily. It demands something of those who follow. It asks, how far will you go? What will you sacrifice? And what will you become in the search? These are not questions with easy answers. They are the questions that bind all seekers to the trail. The search for the Book of Thoth is therefore not merely a quest for knowledge. It is a journey into the heart of mystery itself. It is a test, a transformation, and a calling. And perhaps this is the greatest secret of the book, that it is not found in the destination, but in the path. As the seekers pass through time, their footsteps become part of a living tradition. They carry the call forward, keeping the mystery alive. Each seeker adds a layer to the legend, ensuring that the trail endures. The Book of Thoth is not lost because it is forgotten. It is lost because it is still waiting, hidden in the journey of those who dare to seek it. And so the path continues. The seekers follow, driven by a call older than history itself. They walk into the labyrinth, knowing that the journey may be the only true discovery. In that, perhaps, lies the final truth of the Book of Thoth, that it is not simply a book to be found, but a story to be lived. The story of the Book of Thoth is not a linear tale. It is a labyrinth of myths, whispers, and fragments, a living puzzle passed down through centuries. Section 14 of this journey takes us into the deeper heart of the mystery, the moment when history begins to blur with legend, and seekers must decide whether they're chasing truth or something even more elusive, meaning itself. By the medieval period, the Book of Thoth had become more than an object of pursuit. It had transformed into a symbol of ultimate knowledge, a kind of holy grail for mystics, scholars, and secret orders. Across Europe and the Islamic world, tradition spoke of a hidden text of divine wisdom, a book that contained not just knowledge of the natural world, but the language of creation itself. To possess, it was to hold the power to transform reality. These traditions adapted the legend to their own needs. For Christian mystics, it became a symbol of divine truth hidden by God, to be revealed only to the faithful. For Islamic scholars, it became a metaphor for the eternal wisdom of the Quran, cloaked in allegory and hidden in language. For alchemists, it became the ultimate key, the formula that could transmute matter, body, and soul. Each interpretation added another layer to the trail, deepening the mystery rather than solving it. The transformation of the book into a symbol is critical to understanding why the trail continues. When an object becomes a symbol, it escapes the limits of physical existence. It becomes a living question, a challenge handed down through time. The Book of Thoth is no longer simply a lost manuscript. It becomes a mirror for humanity's own longing, a reflection of our desire to know, to transcend, and to transform. This symbolic transformation also changed the nature of the seekers. They were no longer just explorers of ruins. They became initiates of hidden traditions, drawn into societies that guarded knowledge with oath and secrecy. The trail led them into monasteries, secret chambers, and coded manuscripts. The pursuit became an initiation into something greater than the book itself, a secret tradition that could only be understood by walking its path. Medieval accounts speak of seekers who believed they had found fragments of the Book of Thoth hidden within sacred texts. They saw in ancient symbols the traces of a deeper wisdom, and in coded language the map to hidden truths. The pursuit became as much a decoding of the self as a search for a lost text. Every symbol they uncovered became a step deeper into the labyrinth. The labyrinth is an apt metaphor for the pursuit. The trail of the Book of Thoth is not a straight path. It is filled with twists and turns, with false leads and hidden doors. Every discovery leads to new questions. Every fragment opens another mystery. This is part of the book's power, its ability to keep the seeker in a state of perpetual pursuit. In this labyrinth, the distinction between seeker and guardian becomes blurred. Many who have sought the book became guardians of its fragments themselves. They passed on the knowledge they found in fragments, encoded in new symbols, and passed through new traditions. The trail thus became a living chain of seekers and guardians, each contributing to the book's legacy. This is why the Book of Thoth has survived as a legend, even if its physical form is lost. It survives because it is not a single thing, but a tradition, a way of seeking and guarding knowledge. The book exists in the pursuit itself, carried forward by generations of seekers who continue the journey. It exists in the questions it inspires, not only about what it contains, but about what knowledge itself means. The symbolic transformation also raises a deeper question. If the book is a mirror of human longing, what does that say about the truth we seek? Perhaps the greatest mystery of the Book of Thoth is not where it lies, but why it calls to us. Perhaps it is less a book to be found and more a question to be lived. This is why the search continues in modern times. With the tools of archaeology, linguistics, and digital reconstruction, scholars pursue fragments, symbols, and ruins that might point to the book. Yet every discovery deepens the mystery. The trail becomes not a map to the book, but a journey into the nature of meaning itself. In this sense, the Book of Thoth is not lost. It is waiting. Waiting in the labyrinth of history, in the fragments of ancient wisdom, in the traditions of seekers. It waits in the questions we ask and in the courage we have to walk the path. The pursuit of the Book of Thoth is a story of transformation, of seekers who became guardians, of knowledge that became symbol, of history that became myth. It is a living tradition, carried forward by those who dare to follow the trail. And perhaps this is the book's greatest secret, that the journey is the destination, that the pursuit itself is the test, the transformation, and the revelation. The Book of Thoth does not lie in some lost chamber. It lies in the path taken by the seekers, in the questions they ask, and in the truths they are willing to carry forward. To follow the trail of the Book of Thoth is to step into a labyrinth without end. It is to enter a story written across centuries, cultures, and dreams. And in that journey lies the heart of the book's power, not in the possession of knowledge, but in the living pursuit of it. The story of the Book of Thoth takes a haunting turn when we consider the price of knowledge. By this point in history, the pursuit of the book is no longer simply an intellectual quest. It has become a test of the soul. Every fragment found, every symbol deciphered, carries with it a warning. Some truths demand a cost beyond measure. This is where the legend grows darker, where seekers risk everything for a glimpse of the forbidden. Ancient accounts speak of the dangers of reading the Book of Thoth. It was said that its knowledge could awaken powers beyond human control, to see the workings of the cosmos, to speak in the language of creation, to alter reality itself. But these abilities were not without consequence. The wisdom came with a burden. Many who sought the book were said to vanish, to lose their minds, or to be destroyed by forces they could not comprehend. The pursuit became a path of both enlightenment and peril. This idea of danger is woven into the book's symbolism. In Egyptian lore, Thoth himself was not only the god of wisdom, but also the guardian of divine secrets. The book was hidden not to deny knowledge, but to protect humanity from itself. It was said that only those who had achieved a certain purity of heart and clarity of mind could approach its pages without peril. The book was a gate, and not everyone was ready to pass through. The medieval and Renaissance mystics who sought the book understood this well. Their writings speak of trials, not merely physical journeys, but inner trials of the spirit. They believed that to seek the Book of Thoth was to undertake a transformation. The trial was not in finding the book, but in becoming worthy of it. This is why the search often led seekers into silence, meditation, and the study of symbols. The pursuit was itself a sacred ritual. The danger and the trial make the story of the Book of Thoth a parable of human ambition. Every seeker faces a choice: to step forward into the unknown or to turn away. History is filled with those who stepped forward and those who pay the price. Some became enlightened initiates. Others became warnings, cautionary tales of obsession and ruin. This duality is central to the legend. Knowledge is both gift and trial, reward and peril. The seekers who follow the trail today face a similar challenge. Modern science offers tools that would have astonished the ancients: satellite imaging, AI-assisted translation, digital reconstruction. Yet the deeper mystery remains unchanged. The book resists discovery, not because it is beyond reach, but because it demands readiness. The question is not simply where it is, but whether we are prepared for what we might find. This brings us to a deeper truth about the Book of Thoth. It is not just a text to be found. It is a mirror reflecting our own readiness. Every seeker who approaches it must confront their own intentions. Are they seeking knowledge for wisdom or for power? Are they ready to face what they might discover, not only about the world, but about themselves? The book becomes a test of the seeker as much as a search for knowledge. This test is part of what keeps the legend alive. The Book of Thoth is more than a lost manuscript. It is a living question passed down through millennia. Every seeker who takes up the trail becomes part of the story. They add their own chapter, their own transformation to the legacy, and in doing so, they ensure that the pursuit continues. The danger of the quest is matched by its allure. The Book of Thoth calls to seekers because it promises something beyond knowledge, a vision of the infinite. It is to approach the threshold of understanding itself. This is why the trail has never ended. It is not simply a path to a lost book, but a path to a deeper encounter with reality. History shows us that the pursuit of the Book of Thoth is never straightforward. It is filled with false leads, hidden chambers, coded messages, and riddles that resist solution. Each generation of seekers has added its own interpretation to the legend. The book itself has become a living labyrinth, a mystery that changes with each seeker who dares to follow. Perhaps the greatest lesson of the Book of Thoth is that the search is as important as the discovery. The book is not simply an object to be found, but a journey to be undertaken. It is a question that must be lived, a trial that must be faced. To seek the book is to test oneself, and that is the true price of its knowledge. The path forward is clear for those who follow. The trail of the Book of Thoth continues. It calls to the seekers, the dreamers, and the guardians. It is a story without an ending, a mystery without a final answer. And perhaps that is the book's greatest secret, that it does not exist to be possessed, but to be pursued. In this pursuit lies both danger and promise. The Book of Thoth is a test, a transformation, and a calling. And the question it leaves for every seeker is the same. How far will you go in the search for truth? The trail of the Book of Thoth grows darker as it moves deeper into the realm of secrecy and conspiracy. By this stage in the story, it is no longer just a quest of seekers and guardians. It has become a story of shadows, of hidden orders, and whispered alliances that have shaped the book's legacy. The search itself has become cloaked in conspiracy, as powerful forces throughout history sought to either claim or erase the knowledge it contains. In every age, those who touched the trail of the Book of Thoth faced opposition. There are accounts of scholars silenced by their peers, of libraries destroyed in fire, of orders disbanded under mysterious circumstances. These were not accidents, but acts of concealment. The deeper the knowledge, the greater the fear it inspired. Fear of what humanity might become if such wisdom were unleashed without preparation. The Middle Ages were a time when a legend of the Book of Thoth became entangled with the shadowy history of secret orders. The Knights Templar, alchemists, Rosicrucians, all are said to have sought fragments of the book. To them, it was not merely a treasure, but a source of divine power. These groups operated in secrecy, passing knowledge through coded manuscripts and hidden symbols. Their guardianship was part of a larger pattern, the pattern of the book as a guarded secret. But secrecy breeds suspicion. Legends arose that the book was more than knowledge, that it was a dangerous weapon. Some claimed to contain spells that could command minds, alter fate, or even bend reality itself. Such claims only deepen the fear surrounding it. For rulers and orders alike, the possibility of such power made the book a prize worth guarding and a threat worth burying. This shadow of conspiracy is one of the most intriguing aspects of the book's legend. It suggests that the Book of Thoth has never truly been lost. Perhaps it was hidden deliberately, not by accident, but as part of a larger plan. Perhaps those who guarded it understood something the rest of the world could not. They were not only seekers, but stewards of a secret too dangerous for the world to know. The secrecy of the book also raises questions about truth. If the knowledge was too dangerous to reveal, what was it that needed hiding? Was it a truth that could transform humanity, or a truth that could destroy it? The seekers who followed the trail had to grapple with these questions. Their pursuit was not simply a search for the book, but a quest for the meaning of knowledge itself. In the Renaissance, this shadow of secrecy became entwined with the birth of science and philosophy. Scholars such as Giordano Bruno and John Dee are said to have pursued fragments of the Book of Thoth, seeing it as a key to the hidden laws of nature. For them, the pursuit was both mystical and scientific, an attempt to bridge the world of spirit and matter. They risked their lives for their quest, knowing that the truth they sought could provoke both wonder and wrath. This blend of mysticism and secrecy is what gives the legend its enduring power. The Book of Thoth becomes not simply an object of desire, but a test of courage. To seek it is to step into a realm where knowledge is bound to danger, where truth comes wrapped in mystery, and where seekers must confront the possibility that they are touching something beyond comprehension. The conspiracies surrounding the book have left behind a trail of hidden symbols, coded manuscripts, and secret traditions. These fragments form a labyrinth of clues, a puzzle that can only be entered through the act of seeking itself. Each clue leads deeper into secrecy. Each fragment becomes part of a story that refuses to be fully told. This is why the trail endures. It is not a path to an ending, but a path into an infinite mystery. The idea that the Book of Thoth is part of a larger conspiracy also shifts the stakes of the search. It is no longer just about recovering a lost manuscript. It becomes about uncovering a hidden history, a history deliberately erased, rewritten, and guarded. The seekers are no longer simply individuals. They become participants in a hidden war over knowledge itself. Perhaps this is the deepest layer of the book's mystery, that its pursuit is not simply a quest for knowledge, but a confrontation with power. The guardians, the orders, the conspiracies, all speak to the idea that knowledge shapes reality, and that controlling knowledge means controlling the future. The Book of Thoth becomes not just a treasure, but a key to the fate of humanity. And so the pursuit continues, not in the open, but in the shadows. Modern seekers follow the trail in secret, decoding manuscripts, exploring ruins, and piecing together fragments scattered across time. The conspiracy has not vanished. It has evolved. The Guardians have passed the test to a new generation of seekers, and the book remains hidden, waiting. The story of the Book of Thoth is therefore not simply a story of a lost manuscript. It is a story of secrecy, guardianship, and conspiracy. It is a story of seekers who stepped into the shadows and found themselves in a labyrinth without end. And it is a story that continues to this day, a living mystery that calls to those who will listen. To follow the trail of the Book of Thoth is to step into a world where knowledge is power, secrecy is survival, and truth is a prize worth guarding. It is to enter a story where every answer leads to a deeper question. And perhaps that is the greatest secret of all, that the book is not simply something to be found, but something to be sought forever. As the trail of the Book of Thoth stretches across centuries, it becomes clear that this is not just a story of hidden texts and secret orders. It is a story of prophecy. Many seekers throughout history have believed that the book holds a vision of the future, a key to understanding destiny itself. This belief transforms the pursuit from a search for knowledge into a search for meaning. In the ancient world, prophecy and wisdom were intertwined. For the Egyptians, knowledge was not separate from destiny. Thoth was not only the god of wisdom, but also the keeper of divine order, the one who recorded the unfolding of fate. To possess the Book of Thoth was to glimpse the weave of time itself, to see not only what had been, but what was yet to come. This idea persisted through history. Medieval mystics wrote of the book as a divine prophecy, encoded in symbols and allegories. Renaissance scholars spoke of it as containing the blueprint of a universe, a map of hidden laws that could reveal the fate of mankind. The seekers who followed this vision became not merely hunters of knowledge, but pilgrims on a journey toward an uncertain future. The prophetic dimension of the book adds a layer of urgency to the search. To find it is not simply to recover lost wisdom, but to uncover a truth that could change the course of history. This is why the pursuit has been passed down through secret traditions. The trail becomes a kind of living prophecy itself, a message carried across generations. Yet prophecy is never simple. It comes with ambiguity. The seekers who claim to have found fragments of the Book of Thoth often reported visions that were open to interpretation, symbols that could be read in many ways, words that could mean both warning and promise. The prophecy of the book is therefore not fixed, but alive. It changes with the seeker who approaches it. This living prophecy transforms the act of seeking into something sacred. The pursuit becomes a ritual, a way of aligning oneself with the unfolding of destiny. For some, this is a spiritual quest. For others, it is a quest for power. The dual nature of prophecy, as illumination and as temptation, is part of the book's deepest mystery. Throughout history, there have been seekers who claim to understand the prophecy of the Book of Thoth. They spoke of cycles of time, of hidden knowledge that could awaken humanity, and of a moment when the book would reappear. These claims have been part of the book's legend for centuries. Whether true or not, they have fueled the search, keeping the trail alive. The prophetic vision also raises a deeper question. Is the book itself the prophecy, or is the prophecy the book? Perhaps the true vision lies not in the words of a lost manuscript, but in the act of seeking it, in the transformation of those who follow the path. This is why the legend continues to resonate, why seekers still walk the labyrinth. Modern seekers approach the prophecy in new ways. With the tools of science, archaeology, and technology, they search not only for physical fragments, but for patterns, symbols, and codes hidden in history itself. They look for the prophecy not in a single text, but in the unfolding of time. And in doing so, they step into the most profound part of the Book of Thoth's mystery, the possibility that destiny is written in the act of seeking. The prophetic nature of the book also reframes the meaning of its loss. If the Book of Thoth is a prophecy, then its disappearance is not a final end, but part of the unfolding vision. Its absence becomes a symbol, a reminder that the truth it contains is not fixed, but something that must be sought anew in each generation. This is why the Book of Thoth continues to call to seekers. It is not simply a relic of the past, but a living mystery that speaks to the future. The prophecy is unfinished. The trail is still open, and the next step in the search could be the most important of all. The pursuit of the Book of Thoth is therefore a prophetic journey. It is a search not only for knowledge, but for meaning, a journey that moves through time, through mystery, and through the depths of the human soul. It is a path that transforms the seeker, and in doing so, transforms the search itself. Perhaps the greatest prophecy of the Book of Thoth is that the search will never end, that it will always call to those who are willing to walk its path, that the truth it contains is not a destination, but a journey, a living question that will guide seekers for all time. And so the trail continues. Across centuries, across cultures, across generations, the seekers press forward. They are drawn by the call of prophecy, by the promise of knowledge, and by the mystery that lies at the heart of the Book of Thoth. And in that pursuit lies the deepest truth of all, that the book is not simply a text to be found, but a story to be lived. Of the journey into the legend of the Book of Thoth turns toward the most elusive question of all. What if the book is not a physical object at all? What if the Book of Thoth exists not as a single manuscript, but as a living body of knowledge, scattered, hidden, and encoded across the very fabric of human history? Some scholars and mystics have proposed that the book is not lost in the ordinary sense. Rather, it has been dispersed, woven into myths, symbols, and traditions across the world. From the pyramids of Egypt to the hidden chambers of medieval monasteries, from ancient scrolls in forgotten libraries to whispered teachings in secret societies, the knowledge of Thoth may exist everywhere and nowhere at once. This perspective transforms the nature of the pursuit. It is no longer a matter of finding one book, but of piecing together a mosaic of knowledge scattered through time. Every discovery, an ancient manuscript, an overlooked symbol, a forgotten ritual, becomes a fragment of the greater whole. The book exists in fragments, and the seekers themselves become part of the process of reconstruction. In this sense, the Book of Thoth becomes less of an object and more of a living process. It is knowledge that regenerates, reshapes, and transforms with every seeker who approaches it. This idea is reflected in the traditions that guard its legend. Hermeticism, alchemy, and other mystical traditions do not speak of a single physical text, but of an ongoing revelation, a book written in symbols that speak differently to each generation. This concept also explains why the search has endured for centuries. If the book is everywhere, then no seeker can ever truly say they have found it completely. Every discovery opens new questions. Every interpretation reveals a new layer of mystery. The pursuit becomes endless, a journey without a final destination. The idea of the book as a living, fragmented truth also deepens the symbolism of Thoth. In Egyptian tradition, Thoth is the god of language, of symbols, of eternal writing. To seek his book is to seek an understanding of reality itself, an understanding that is not fixed, but always evolving. The book becomes a mirror of human consciousness, reflecting the seeker's own evolution. Modern seekers have taken this idea further. With the tools of modern science, archaeology, linguistics, artificial intelligence, they search for patterns across vast data sets, for hidden connections in history, for the echoes of the book in art, architecture, and scripture. This is not simply the pursuit of a text, but a pursuit of a universal language, a quest to decode the hidden structure of reality itself. The fragmented nature of the book also makes the journey intensely personal. Each seeker follows their own trail, guided by intuition, revelation, and interpretation. There is no single path to the book because the book is not a single thing. It is a living labyrinth, a quest that reflects the seeker as much as the sought. This makes the Book of Thoth both deeply elusive and profoundly intimate. To follow its trail is to undertake a journey that is both outward and inward. It is a quest through history, but also a journey into the depths of the self. Every seeker becomes both hunter and guardian, reader and writer of the book's living page. The idea of a fragmented book also explains why the trail has woven itself into so many traditions and myths. Each culture that encountered the knowledge of Thoth adapted it to its own vision of truth. The book became a chameleon, taking different forms in different ages, a hidden scripture, a cipher of the cosmos, a dream, a symbol of prophecy. And in every form, it continued to call to seekers. This leads to a profound possibility that the Book of Thoth was never meant to be found whole, that its purpose is not to be recovered as a single artifact, but to be recreated by those who seek it. The fragments are the trial. The search is the initiation. The book itself is the journey. If this is true, then the Book of Thoth exists today, not in a hidden tomb, but in the minds and hearts of seekers. It exists in the questions we ask, in the symbols we follow, and in the stories we tell. The search is eternal because the book is eternal, written not on paper, but on the living page of human curiosity. To walk the trail of the Book of Thoth is to walk a path without end. It is to enter a living labyrinth, where every clue is both a step forward and a doorway deeper. It is to live the mystery, not simply solve it. And perhaps that is the greatest secret of all. The Book of Thoth does not exist to be possessed. It exists to be pursued. In that pursuit lies the heart of its mystery, a call across centuries, inviting each generation to add its own chapter. The seekers, the fragments, the symbols, the myths, they are all threads in the living tapestry of the Book of Thoth. And the tapestry is unfinished, waiting for those who will take up the search. The Book of Thoth is therefore not lost. It is scattered. It is hidden. It is alive. And as long as there are seekers who listen to its call, the book will endure. Of our journey brings us to the threshold of revelation, the moment when the trail of the Book of Thoth begins to converge with the deeper questions of humanity's destiny. If the book is a living mystery scattered across time and culture, then what does it mean for those who walk its path? This is where the story transforms into something greater than pursuit. It becomes a reflection on the human condition itself. Across centuries, seekers have whispered that the Book of Thoth holds more than knowledge. They have said it contains the keys to understanding existence, the language of creation, the map of the cosmos, and the code of the soul. To possess such knowledge would be to transcend the limits of human understanding. But what would that mean? And who would be ready to wield such power? These are questions that echo through the history of the search. In ancient Egypt, Thoth was not simply a god of writing. He was the divine scribe, the keeper of the balance between order and chaos. His book was a symbol of that balance. To know its contents was to know the harmony of the universe, but to grasp it also meant walking the line between wisdom and destruction. The seekers who followed the trail through history understood this paradox. For them, the book was not merely a prize, but a trial. To approach, it was to confront the nature of truth itself. Many described their journey in terms of transformation, as if the pursuit of the book was also a transformation of the seeker's own being. This is the secret at the heart of the legend, that the search changes the seeker more than the discovery changes the world. By the Renaissance, the search for the Book of Thoth had become intertwined with the greatest questions of human knowledge. Scholars and mystics saw in it a union of science, philosophy, and magic, a synthesis of reason and mystery. For them, the book was the ultimate expression of human aspiration. To find it was to answer the question of what it means to be human. But the trail always returned to the question of danger. The more the seekers learned, the more they recognized that such knowledge could not be separated from responsibility. To hold the wisdom of Thoth was to hold a power that could shape reality itself. And with that power came a choice, to use it wisely or to allow it to corrupt. This is the dilemma that has shadowed every chapter of the book's legend. In the modern age, this question remains as urgent as ever. The seekers of today face not only the mystery of the book, but the reality of a world transformed by technology. We now live in an age where knowledge spreads instantly, where information is boundless. Yet the deeper wisdom, the kind the Book of Thoth promises, remains hidden, encoded in symbols, fragments, and questions. Perhaps the real challenge is not finding the book, but finding the wisdom to use it rightly. This brings us to a profound possibility, that the Book of Thoth is not just a relic of the past, but a living challenge to the present. It asks each generation, are you ready for the truth? Are you ready to face the cost of knowledge? And if you find it, what will you do with it? The book becomes not a prize, but a question, a test of readiness, courage, and integrity. For the seekers who walk the trail, this question becomes part of their journey. It is not enough to find fragments or decode symbols. The seeker must also confront themselves, their motives, their fears, and their capacity for transformation. The search becomes a mirror, reflecting not only the hidden knowledge they pursue, but the seeker's own soul. This is why the Book of Thoth remains one of the greatest mysteries of human history. It is not simply about finding a lost manuscript. It is about the journey itself, the questions we choose to ask, the paths we choose to follow, and the truths we are willing to seek. In that sense, the book exists as long as there are seekers willing to walk its trail. The legend of the Book of Thoth becomes a living challenge, not to possess knowledge, but to live it. Each seeker who takes up the trail adds their own chapter to the story. They weave their own questions and revelations into the living tapestry of the book. And in doing so, they ensure that the mystery endures. Perhaps this is the greatest truth the Book of Thoth holds, that the pursuit of knowledge is not an end, but a beginning, that the book exists in the act of seeking, that its purpose is not to be found, but to be lived. The seekers who walk its path do not simply search for a lost manuscript. They search for themselves, and in that search lies the heart of its mystery, a question that will continue to echo through history. What is the cost of knowing everything? And are we willing to pay it? The trail of the Book of Thoth continues. It calls to seekers across centuries, cultures, and hearts. It is a journey without end, a question without final answer, a mystery that will endure as long as humanity dares to seek. Draws us closer to the heart of the Book of Thoth's enigma, where history and legend dissolve into something far more profound, the idea that the book is not just a record of knowledge, but a key to transformation itself. This section explores the possibility that the Book of Thoth was never meant simply to be read, but to be lived. Across cultures and centuries, the pursuit of the book has always carried with it an element of transformation. Ancient Egyptian texts describe Thoth not only as a writer of wisdom, but as a teacher who transforms those who listen. The book is said to hold more than spells or secrets. It contains a code for the awakening of consciousness. To approach, it is to embark on a transformation of mind, body, and soul. This transformation is not merely intellectual. It is experiential. Many seekers spoke of the book as a living experience, something that could not be captured in words alone. The knowledge of Thoth was described as something that had to be felt, lived, and embodied. This is why the book has become a symbol of inner alchemy, the process of turning the seeker into something new. The medieval mystics and philosophers who followed the trail of Thoth understood this deeply. Their writings speak of trials that went beyond physical searches, trials of the spirit. The seekers who came close to the book spoke of visions, dreams, and initiations. The pursuit became an inner journey as much as an outer one, a test of whether the seeker could become what the book itself represented. This is the deeper secret of the Book of Thoth, that it is not a static object, but a living process. Its pages, whether lost or hidden, exist in the transformation of the seeker. The book is not a destination, but a journey, and the seeker becomes the living embodiment of the text, rewriting it through their own experience and discovery. This idea transforms the nature of the search. The seekers who walk the path of Thoth are not simply looking for a manuscript. They are seeking transformation, the ability to see beyond the ordinary, to awaken to hidden dimensions of reality. The book becomes not a prize to be claimed, but a mirror of the seeker's own evolution. Modern seekers approach the book in new ways. In the age of technology, transformation takes many forms. Through the decoding of symbols, the exploration of ancient ruins, the study of esoteric traditions, and the blending of science and mysticism. The pursuit of the Book of Thoth becomes a quest for self-transformation as much as for lost knowledge. The living nature of the book also explains why it has persisted as a legend for thousands of years. It does not belong to the past alone. It belongs to every generation that walks its path. The book is recreated with every seeker, reshaped by their own visions and revelations. It lives because the search lives. This also reframes the meaning of the book's disappearance. Perhaps it was never truly lost. Perhaps it exists precisely in the moment of seeking, in the transformation that occurs when a seeker steps into the labyrinth. The absence of a physical book becomes a powerful symbol, that the knowledge it contains is not something that can be owned, but something that must be lived. The idea of transformation also touches on the most profound element of the legend, the possibility that the Book of Thoth is a kind of divine initiation. To encounter is to undergo a process of awakening, to step beyond the limits of ordinary knowledge and enter into a deeper understanding of reality. This is why the book has been called both dangerous and sacred. It promises illumination, but demands change. The seekers who followed its trail through history became part of that initiation. They entered hidden chambers of knowledge, deciphered symbols, and passed through trials of spirit. They carried fragments of the book forward, not as an object, but as a living tradition of transformation. This is the greatest legacy of the Book of Thoth. It is not simply a book lost to time. It is a living process that transforms every seeker who walks its path. To pursue it is to step into a journey of awakening, to enter a living labyrinth of knowledge, mystery, and transformation. Perhaps this is the book's ultimate secret, that it was never meant to be found in full, that it exists in fragments, scattered across time and consciousness, waiting to be pieced together by each seeker. The book is not a text to be possessed, but a living question to be lived. And so the pursuit continues. Across centuries, across cultures, across generations, seekers walk the path of Thoth. They follow the symbols, decode the fragments, face the trials, and in doing so, they become part of the living book itself. The Book of Thoth does not end. It transforms, and the seeker who follows it is transformed as well. This is why the Book of Thoth endures, not as a manuscript hidden in tombs, but as a living challenge to the human spirit. To follow its trail is to accept the call of transformation. To walk its path is to step into a mystery that never ends, and to carry its question forward. Who will you become in the pursuit of ultimate knowledge? Brings us to the emotional heart of the story, the moment where the pursuit of the Book of Thoth becomes more than a quest for hidden knowledge. It becomes a story about what it means to seek, to believe, and to transform in the face of mystery. This is where the seekers become part of something larger, a living tradition of wonder, courage, and devotion. The search for the Book of Thoth has never been a simple path. It is a path of trials, riddles, and shadows. Every generation that has walked this path has faced the choice to surrender to the fear of the unknown or to step deeper into mystery. This choice is at the heart of the book's legend. The seekers who continue this path do not merely follow clues. They embrace a way of being that is defined by the pursuit itself. Throughout history, those who sought the Book of Thoth became part of a tradition of devotion. They carried fragments of the book, guarded symbols, and passed stories in whispers. This devotion was not to the physical book alone, but to the idea that there is something worth seeking beyond the limits of ordinary understanding, a higher truth that can transform the soul. For many seekers, the pursuit became a matter of faith. They trusted that the book exists, even if it cannot be found. They trusted that the trail leads somewhere beyond the map of history, somewhere beyond the reach of human certainty. This trust became part of the power of the legend. The belief that the search itself is sacred. The emotional depth of the quest is what gives the legend its endurance. The Book of Thoth is not simply about knowledge. It is about meaning. It speaks to a deeper human longing, the longing to know, to understand, to transform. It is a symbol of the ultimate journey, the journey to the heart of truth. This longing has given rise to countless stories, visions, and myths. Seekers have described their pursuit in deeply personal terms, as a calling, a vision, a transformation. These personal narratives form a tapestry of devotion that spans centuries. They show that the pursuit of the Book of Thoth is not a solitary act, but part of a shared human tradition. In many ways, the seekers themselves have become the living Book of Thoth. Their journeys, their trials, and their revelations are pages in a larger story, a story that continues to be written. The pursuit is not about possession, but about contribution. Each seeker adds a chapter, a fragment, a vision to the ever-growing legend. This idea of living devotion is central to the emotional power of the book's myth. The Book of Thoth becomes not a lost relic, but a living tradition, a calling that transcends time. It exists wherever seekers walk the path, wherever the questions are asked, and wherever the transformation is pursued. The emotional climax of the legend comes in the recognition that the search itself is the gift. The seekers may never hold the book in their hands, but they carry it within themselves. The book exists in their questions, their courage, and their willingness to enter the labyrinth of mystery. This is why the legend endures, because it is not about a single object, but about a way of living. For modern seekers, this devotion takes many forms. It may be the quiet study of ancient texts, the exploration of sacred sites, the practice of meditation, or the pursuit of knowledge through science and art. Each form is an expression of the same devotion, the willingness to follow the trail of the Book of Thoth, no matter where it leads. The emotional power of the book lies in its ability to transform the seeker. To follow its path is to enter a state of openness, humility, and wonder. It is to accept that the journey itself is more important than the destination, and that the greatest truths are those that transform the heart as well as the mind. This is the final gift of the Book of Thoth, the gift of transformation. It is a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge is not an act of possession, but an act of becoming. To seek the book is to seek oneself, and to find oneself in the living mystery of existence. The legend of the Book of Thoth calls to every seeker who hears it. It is a call not only to find the book, but to live its truth. It is a call to step into the labyrinth, to face the trials, and to embrace the transformation. This is why the book endures, not as a lost manuscript, but as a living journey of the soul. The seekers who walk its path today are part of that living tradition. They carry forward the devotion, the courage, and the mystery. They are the living embodiment of the Book of Thoth, and in their search lies the deepest meaning of the legend, that the book is not something to be found, but something to be lived. As the story moves toward its conclusion, we begin to see the truth that has been hidden in plain sight all along. The Book of Thoth is not lost. It is here, in the living devotion of those who follow its call. It is in the courage to seek, the faith to believe, and the willingness to transform. And perhaps that is the greatest secret of all, is where the search for the Book of Thoth begins to close in on its final truth. This is the moment when the mystery shifts from being a distant legend to a question that touches each seeker personally. If the book still calls across time, what is it truly calling for? And who answers? Throughout history, the seekers of Thoth have been united by one thing: a relentless pursuit that transforms into something more profound than knowledge. This pursuit becomes a kind of pilgrimage. It is not simply a journey across lands and texts, but a journey inward, toward the heart of being. The book, in its mystery, becomes a mirror of the seeker's own inner path. The legends speak of seekers who reach the edge of the book's truth. They describe moments of revelation, experiences of clarity that could not be contained in language. These were not discoveries of fact alone, but of transformation. They speak of the book as a living presence, one that changes according to the seeker who approaches it. This is why the pursuit of Thoth has never been a purely intellectual endeavor. It is a deeply personal journey of awakening. In many traditions, the pursuit of wisdom is called a journey toward the divine. For the seekers of the Book of Thoth, this has meant walking a path that blends the realms of knowledge, spirit, and destiny. The book becomes a symbol of that unity, the convergence of human inquiry with the deeper currents of existence. To follow its path is to step into the sacred. This convergence transforms the meaning of the search. It is no longer a hunt for a lost manuscript. It becomes a sacred act of participation in the unfolding of truth. The seekers are no longer simply pursuers. They are co-creators in the living mystery of the book. Every step they take, every question they ask, becomes part of the book's own becoming. This idea redefines what it means for the Book of Thoth to be lost. Perhaps it was never truly lost. Perhaps its disappearance is part of the book's purpose, a way of ensuring that it is not possessed, but sought, a way of keeping the pursuit alive. To lose the book is to keep the mystery alive, and that is the book's deepest secret. The search is the answer. The pursuit of the Book of Thoth becomes a living tradition precisely because it is endless. Every generation adds its own vision, its own fragment to the story. The seekers themselves become part of the book's legacy. They are not only readers of its pages, but writers of its ongoing chapter. In this way, the book is eternal. It exists wherever the search exists. This gives the legend a profound emotional truth. The Book of Thoth is not simply a relic to be found. It is a calling to be answered. It asks each seeker to step into the labyrinth, to face the unknown, to embrace transformation. And in that call lies its power, a power that transcends time and place. For the seekers of today, the call takes many forms. Some approach it through history and archaeology, seeking traces of the book in ruins and manuscripts. Others approach it through philosophy, meditation, and spiritual practice, seeking the book within themselves. And others still see it as a challenge to their imagination, a question that can never be fully answered but must be lived. The beauty of this calling is that it belongs to everyone. The Book of Thoth is not owned by a single tradition, a single culture, or a single generation. It belongs to the living search itself. It is a gift that belongs to anyone willing to walk the path, to follow the symbols, to enter the labyrinth. As the search comes closer to its conclusion, we realize that the greatest discovery is not the book itself, but the act of seeking. The pursuit becomes an initiation into a greater truth. That knowledge is not something to be possessed, but something to be lived. The book is not a destination. It is a journey. And perhaps that is the most profound secret of the Book of Thoth, that it does not exist to be found, but to be pursued. That it is not a single text, but an unfolding story that belongs to every seeker. That its disappearance is not a loss, but an invitation. The book calls to us still, across centuries and cultures, asking the same question: are you willing to walk the path? This is the living truth of the Book of Thoth. Its mystery endures because the search endures. And as long as there are seekers who answer the call, the book will never truly be lost. The trail is still open. The labyrinth still awaits. And the story continues. Is the culmination, the resolution of the journey through the legend of the Book of Thoth. It is where the mystery transforms into reflection, and the pursuit becomes an invitation to the audience to consider not just the story of the book, but the meaning of the search itself. The Book of Thoth stands at the intersection of history, myth, and the human spirit. It is more than a lost manuscript. It is a symbol of knowledge, of mystery, of transformation. For thousands of years, it has been the prize of seekers, the whisper of prophets, and the dream of visionaries. And yet, it remains elusive. Perhaps that is its greatest truth, that the mystery itself is the destination. As we reach the end of this journey, we must ask, what does the search for the Book of Thoth teach us? It teaches that knowledge is not merely something to be possessed, but something to be pursued. That the act of seeking changes the seeker. That every step toward truth is a step toward transformation. The seekers who have followed this path throughout history did more than search for a book. They embarked on a journey of self-discovery. They stepped into a labyrinth where every turn was a question, every clue a challenge, and every vision a doorway. In their devotion, they became part of the book itself, living pages in an eternal story. The legend of the Book of Thoth is not merely a tale of hidden knowledge. It is a living question passed down through centuries. It asks us to look deeper, to question what we know, to search beyond the obvious, to embrace the mystery that lies at the heart of existence. The book does not give us answers so much as it calls us to become seekers. Perhaps that is why the book endures. Not because it exists somewhere hidden in tombs or temples, but because the search for it lives in each of us. Every philosopher who questions reality, every mystic who seeks the divine, every scientist who searches for truth, they are part of the living story of the Book of Thoth. This is the most profound secret of the book. It is not lost, but alive. It exists in the longing to know, the courage to seek, and the willingness to transform. It exists wherever the labyrinth is entered. It exists in the questions we ask, in the symbols we follow, and in the journeys we undertake. The disappearance of the book becomes a metaphor for the human journey. Our lives are, in many ways, a search for knowledge we cannot fully grasp, a journey through mystery towards something greater than ourselves. And perhaps that is the book's final teaching, that the pursuit of truth is itself the highest truth. The Book of Thoth, then, is not a destination. It is a living call, a call that reaches across time, whispering to each generation, seek, question, transform. The seekers who have walked its path have answered that call in their own ways. And so will we. As we stand at the threshold of our own journey, we realize that the labyrinth is not behind us. It is before us. The trail of the Book of Thoth is not a path to be completed, but a path to be lived. It is a journey that belongs to all who hear the call. And so the greatest revelation of all emerges. The book was never lost. It was always within us, in our questions, our courage, and our search for meaning. The Book of Thoth is not a relic of the past. It is a living mystery. It is the story of the seeker, and it is the story of all of us. The book calls still, across centuries, across cultures, across hearts. The labyrinth remains open. The trail continues, and the story, the eternal story, endures. What if the secret changes how we see history? What if the Book of Thoth is not a book to be found, but a way to be lived? The answer lies in the seeker, and the seeker is you. Is the reflective epilogue, the moment where the story of the Book of Thoth shifts into a living invitation for the audience. It is no longer just a tale of mystery, but a personal question. What will you take from this journey? Throughout history, the seekers of Thoth have carried fragments of truth across centuries. They have wandered through deserts, deciphered hidden symbols, risked their lives, and crossed the thresholds of reason and faith. They were driven not by the certainty of discovery, but by the urgency of the search itself. That search was not just for a book, but for something deeper, the truth that lies beyond certainty. The Book of Thoth is a legend of loss and longing. It embodies a timeless paradox. The more we seek, the less certain we become, and yet the search grows ever more compelling. This paradox is at the heart of why the legend endures. It is not about finding answers. It is about living the questions. To follow the path of Thoth is to embrace the unknown. Every seeker who steps onto that path steps into a labyrinth of symbols, mysteries, and revelations. The book itself becomes a living question. What is truth? What is knowledge? What is the cost of seeking them? These are questions without a final answer, and that is the beauty of the quest. For some, the search is a literal journey into ancient ruins, hidden archives, and sacred temples. For others, it is an inner journey into meditation, philosophy, and the depths of their own consciousness. And for all, the path of Thoth is both. It is a bridge between the outer world and the inner world, between history and the soul. The seekers have left their mark in many forms: manuscripts, art, rituals, myths. Each fragment of the book they carried became a living testament to the search. These fragments are scattered across cultures and epochs, hidden in plain sight. They invite every seeker to join the path, to contribute to the living story. The endurance of the legend of the Book of Thoth lies in its invitation. It does not offer a simple answer. It offers a calling, a call to explore the unknown, to walk the labyrinth, to transform. And that calling is timeless. It transcends eras and civilizations because it speaks to something universal: the human longing for truth, meaning, and transformation. This brings us to a subtle but powerful truth. The Book of Thoth is not an object. It is a living journey. Its disappearance is not a failure of history, but an expression of its true nature. It cannot be owned because knowledge cannot be contained. It must be pursued, lived, and embodied. That pursuit is the real treasure. It is what transforms the seeker, and in turn, transforms history. The book's greatest gift is not knowledge itself, but the awakening it inspires, the awakening that each seeker must choose for themselves. This is the ultimate mystery and the greatest revelation of the Book of Thoth. As we reflect on this story, we see that the Book of Thoth is not a thing lost to time. It is a living challenge, a call that echoes across centuries. It is the call to step into the labyrinth, to walk the path of the seeker, to embrace mystery, to transform. And so, the story of the Book of Thoth does not end here. It lives in every seeker who hears the call. It lives in every question asked, every symbol deciphered, every journey taken into the unknown. It lives in the courage to seek and in the willingness to change. The Book of Thoth is more than legend. It is a living testament to the eternal search for truth. It reminds us that the most powerful knowledge is not what is written in any book, but what is written in the heart of the seeker. This is the legacy of Thoth, a legacy of mystery, devotion, and transformation. A legacy that belongs to every generation willing to walk its path. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this: the book is never truly lost. It is within the seeker. It is within the journey. The labyrinth is still open. The trail still calls. The story of the Book of Thoth continues, and so does the story of every seeker who dares to follow it. The final step through the labyrinth of the Book of Thoth. It is where all threads of the story converge into a lasting truth, and where the audience is invited to carry the mystery forward in their own lives. The search for the Book of Thoth has been a journey across time, a journey through myth, history, and the deepest questions of human existence. It has taken us through the corridors of forgotten temples, into the minds of philosophers, across the whispers of mystics, and into the hearts of seekers. And now, at the end of this journey, we stand not before a book, but before an eternal question. What does the search itself mean? The Book of Thoth, in its essence, is a story about seeking. It is the symbol of humanity's relentless desire to understand the world, to uncover hidden truths, and to transcend the limits of the ordinary. That desire has shaped civilizations, inspired revolutions, and transformed hearts. It is the thread that connects every seeker who has ever walked this path. To seek the Book of Thoth is to accept a challenge, the challenge of transformation. Every seeker who follows its trail steps into a labyrinth where the journey changes them. The knowledge they seek is not found in words alone, but in the experience of seeking itself. The book becomes not a destination, but a living question that the seeker carries forward. Through history, Seekers have spoken of the book as both dangerous and sacred. Dangerous, because knowledge that transforms can unsettle the world. Sacred, because such knowledge awakens the soul. This dual nature lies at the heart of Thoth's legacy. It is not a book to be possessed, but a journey to be lived. And that journey is endless. The disappearance of the Book of Thoth is not the end of its story. It is the living proof of its purpose, that it belongs not to a single time, place, or keeper, but to the seekers themselves. Every generation, every seeker, rewrites the story of the book by taking up the search. And so, the book continues to live. That is its greatest truth. The Book of Thoth is not lost. It exists wherever there is a seeker willing to ask the questions it poses. What is truth? What is knowledge? What is transformation? These questions are the living pages of the book. They are the legacy of Thoth. For each of us, the call of Thoth is personal. It asks us to look beyond the surface, to question our assumptions, and to enter our own labyrinth of mystery. The book is not found in a single place. It is found wherever a seeker chooses to walk the path. The labyrinth is within each of us. This is the final teaching of the Book of Thoth, that the pursuit of knowledge is itself the highest truth, that the book is not a prize to be claimed, but a journey to be embraced, that every seeker becomes part of its living story, and that the search, not the destination, is the greatest gift of all. As we close this journey, we must ask ourselves, will we walk the path? Will we answer the call of the book? The labyrinth is open. The trail is waiting. And the Book of Thoth is calling still. Perhaps the greatest mystery of all is this. The book was never truly lost. It was always within us, in our questions, in our courage, in our willingness to seek. The Book of Thoth is not a relic of the past. It is a living challenge to the present. It is the story of a seeker, and it is the story of all of us. And so, the book remains, not bound in pages, but written in the journey of every soul that dares to follow its call. Its legend endures, not because it was found, but because it continues to be sought. And perhaps that is the greatest revelation of all. The Book of Thoth is not an ending. It is an invitation. The labyrinth is eternal. The search is infinite. And the story continues in the hearts of every seeker who dares to step into the mystery. The question remains, will you walk the path? Because the book is still calling, and the seeker is you.